What is up, you guys? So chalk up another win for the University of Hawaii men's basketball team as they came through with a giant win at UC Davis, 77-73. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but first off, guys, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to, or if you just want to see some more of my games. I will try to have one up this weekend, but in the meantime, let's get into this. Here's my banner. UH beats UC Davis 77-73. First road win over Davis since 2021. Bows played very composed when it mattered. Isaac Johnson led the Bows with 16 points. He had 14 after the first half. Hunter Erickson had 11. And Isaac Johnson may have been held to only 2 points, but he didn't score those points until about 17 seconds left in the second half. And they were both from the free throw line. And as for UC Davis, they were led by Marcus Wilson. He had 25. And that actually came as a bit of a surprise to me because I kind of thought that honor would go to Connor Sevilla because he was definitely one of the leaders to the team, to UC Davis when they came to Honolulu. And I thought that he might be the lead scorer, Connor Sevilla I'm talking about. But instead, UH held him to just 11, which is probably lower than his average, which is a good thing too. Because the way that UH played, they proved that they got a similar competitive style with UC Davis. But a lot of the time, UC Davis came out on top, especially on the road, or particularly on the road, I should say, because the last time UH beat Davis on the road was 2021, but the last time that the University of Hawaii swept UC Davis was 2020. And I remember that season really well because both of those games came on game-winning triples from Eddie Stansberry in Honolulu and Samuta Avea in Davis. And fortunately, UH came away the winners then, and they had to really scrap and claw and fight their way back. They didn't succumb themselves to an early deficit and be forced to play catch-up until the very end. That's what I really liked about this team. They were really composed, and they did not let any run from UC Davis completely ruined them. Because in the past, anytime Davis got out front, they always would go on a run, or at least one or two runs with guys like Elijah Pepper and T.Y. Johnson anchoring that run to ultimately send UH home the losers, or at least put them behind the 8 ball. I was really glad to see that they were able to get on a run early, UH I'm talking about, and they took the lead for good in the first half, and they pulled it out to as many as 14 overall, or 13 or 14. And fortunately, they took a 12-point lead by halftime, but that was enough for UH to hold on to the win 77-73. The fact that they were able to hold on and keep their composure certainly speaks a lot of volumes that they have that balance to be able to beat some of these teams at their place, especially those where they didn't have too much luck against. And Davis was one of those teams. They didn't do it against Santa Barbara, though. They almost did it against UC Irvine. But the fact that they were able to compete with Irvine at their place certainly spoke a lot of volumes that they could have won that game and could certainly have swept UC Irvine if some breaks came their way. And they did get one in regulation then, but unfortunately, it seemed like UH was gassed by the time overtime began at Irvine. This one didn't go to overtime against Davis, but this could have been a train wreck because despite they did have a 12-point lead by halftime, they almost gave it up because Davis made quite a bit of pushes. But fortunately, UH answered the bell. They did not fall apart, and they were able to keep their lead above 2 possessions for the rest of the way. So that's why I would give this game an A grade, because they were able to keep their composure and be able to keep the lead. And that's the one thing that UH had not done against UC Davis, because they proved they got the pace, but last year was kind of a disaster because they lost at the buzzer when Marcus Green missed the layup and Tanner Christensen missed the putback, and UH walked away the losers by 2 points. But that was more or less the start of the season last season turning into a train wreck. This season has been anything but a train wreck, because UH has done extremely well, and I couldn't be happier for them. And to top it all off, this win over UC Davis is win number 20 for the UH men's basketball team. And this is the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons that UH has won 20 games or more. Are they going to get to 30? I don't know. I sure hope so. But they need to keep playing hard. And I'll tell you this, if there was one game to lose, Cal Poly may have been the one. Because although they did not play particularly well against Cal Poly, they were able to hit the reset button and get back on a win streak. And that tells me that win against UC Santa Barbara was definitely no fluke. Now, the one guy that I was thinking would have a better game than he did was Isaiah Kerr. After 17 against UC Santa Barbara, I kind of thought that Kerr would have some better numbers. I don't think he played terribly. I mean, he only had 2 points and a rebound. But Isaiah certainly did some good to help this team out defensive-wise and do things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Because although scoring and rebounds, they may speak some volumes, but what you do that don't show on the stat sheet speaks just as much volumes. And although I didn't watch the game because it was on ESPN+, I like to think that Isaiah Kerr did himself a lot of good to help the team out in his own way. Now, that was the only guy that I thought would have a better performance. And obviously, with Aaron Hunkenclater out for the season with the turf toe injury, Hunter Erickson has certainly stepped up at the point position. And I have to admit that Isaiah Kerr would make a decent point guard as well if he has some point guard experience, as would Dre Bullock. And Dre, I thought, did really good as well. His numbers were really good. 4 points, 4 rebounds. Although it may not sound like a lot, the things that he did on the court can't be matched. And it wasn't an outright blowout or breakout game for Dre Bullock. But I do think that everybody who stepped on the court contributed big time, to say the least. So UH will conclude their final road trip with a game at Cal State Fullerton. This is UH's last chance to get a road sweep. And coming into this game, I thought UH had no excuse to do no worse than a split. If they were going to get 2 road wins, this is the one to do it. Because these are 2 teams you beat in the first week of Big West play. And now that you got that win over Davis, you can go into Cal State Fullerton, maybe with a little less pressure on your shoulders. And you can also have a good chance to get a season sweep over Cal State Fullerton once again. And I definitely hope that they can, because they swept Fullerton last season. They split with them the year before. But at the time, when they opened up the season, UH was still finding themselves after kind of a lethargic performance in the Diamond Head Classic in 2023-24. But still, the way UH played, I would not put it past them to get this road sweep. If they don't, at least they split. Because if you at least split on the road, you've got a formula for a successful Big West Conference season. And if they can win at Fullerton, they've won the last 2 meetings at Cal State Fullerton's Titan Gym. So what's 3 in a row? I sure hope that they can pull it off. As far as favorites go, I don't expect Cal State Fullerton to go down without a fight. So I am putting UH as, I would say, 4-point favorites. It's not going to be easy with guys like Landon Seaman and a few others. But still, I think UH can take them. And if they can prove they got the pace, I don't see any reason that UH should come away on this final road trip with 2 wins. If it's just not their night, then it's not their night. And that's where I'll leave it. So anyway, guys, that's all for today. And remember, subscribe. I'll see you all for that recap after Cal State Fullerton. And I do also have to do my recap of the Dallas Supercross or Arlington Supercross. That'll come next. So thanks, guys. Subscribe. Go Bows. See you all again.